if you heard what Mr. Mitchell said, you're going to hear it again. So I have this question about some bills that we've already passed out of this committee that I think lead to anti-competitive practices in prescription drugs, as well as the availability of lower price generic alternatives. We focus on pay for delay deals, citizen petitions abuse, product hopping and evergreening, and unfair PBM practices. And so these bills kind of come out with these names in this committee: Prescription Pricing for the People Act, the Preserve Access to Affordable Generics and Biosimilar Act, Stop Stalling Act, the Affordable Prescription for Patients Act, and the Interagency Patent Coordination and Improvement Act. And it's frustrating that these bills move and become law. And why they have not, I don't know. I hope that we can break the log jam for the benefits. And Mr. Mitchell, you made that very clear. So I was going to ask you as one of three people here, so I'm going to focus on Professor Rye and Dr. Feldman. Do you believe that these bills that I've mentioned will help promote competition and lower drug costs?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I do believe they will. I don't know that I would agree with the particulars of every single bill, but I've already endorsed heartily the Interagency Coordination Act, and I believe that the bills for product hopping in particular could be very useful as well. There's also a bill on patent thickets that I think could prove very useful. So yes, overall, absolutely.
I agree. I think every bill that we are talking about here today, all of these bipartisan bills, would help address the problem. To me, there is no silver bullet. I wish there was one solution that could solve all of our problems, but I really think the work this committee is doing around all of these issues, around better communication with the USPTO and FDA, around citizen petitions, pay for delay settlements, we really have to be going after every single issue to make incremental progress on what I think is a really real problem for our healthcare system.
Yeah. Ms. Ulrich, you made very clear in your answer to a question that the three biggest PBMs have 80% of the market, so I don't need to ask you to explain that further, but I'd like to zero in on a bill that Senator Cantwell and I have focus called the Pharmacy Benefit Managers Transparency Act to prevent unfair anti-competitive practices by PBMs and to bring about greater transparency. Specifically, our bill would prohibit deceptive pricing schemes and arbitrary clawbacks of payments made to pharmacies. The bill would also require PBMs to report to the FTC how much money that they make through spread pricing and pharmacy fees. Do you believe that this bill would help address competition concerns and lower price of drugs for patients?
Yes, thank you, Senator Grassley. I think we support the principles of that bill, but I would defer to my other colleagues who are more engaged on PBM policy more directly to answer you fully, and we would be happy to engage with you further on that.
Okay, thank you very much. I would go to Ms. Ulrich and Professor Mossoff. I'd like you to answer questions about the federal government investing $50 billion in healthcare research in this fiscal year alone. On top of that, we know the pharmaceutical industry invests 80 to 90 annually on research and development. Universities, pharmaceutical companies, biotech startups, small inventors, and other stakeholders are all engaged in innovation to find cures and produce life-saving drugs. So, Professor Mossoff, how do we build on this work so that we can find the next miracle drug without breaking patients' pocketbooks? What kind of incentives spur investment in R&D?
I think that as a general principle, we should continue to retain the system that has made possible the biotech revolution and all of these incredible new drug treatments, which is reliable and effective patent rights that are secured to the innovators that they can deploy in the marketplace. The data that I have on the funding shows that at least as of 2018, you have private R&D funding of around 129 billion, and which, as Ms. Ulrich had said, dwarfs the the 40 billion or so by NIH. So it's not true that what many people believe, that the government funds all drug development or all drug discoveries. In fact, one study done in 2021 of just the grants by the NIH in the year 2000, there were 23,230 NIH grants in the year 2000, and those were linked to only 18 FDA-approved medicines by 2020. So what you have is a continuing process in which the NIH funds very far upstream initial research, right? The basic research. And then once the university researchers figure out that this is something that might be important, they get a patent. The university licenses it to a biotech company, or they create a startup and get venture capital financing, and that's what accounts for the $2.6 billion on average that goes into drug development, ultimately that leads to an FDA-approved therapeutic treatment in the marketplace. And we should continue to ensure that that can happen by ensuring that the Bayh-Dole Act is not changed and that it continues to function in the way that it has functioned very successfully in the past 30 or 40 years in this incredible R&D pipeline that it's been developed. As I said, rooted in this system of property rights and to innovators that we have had in this country for 200 years.
I'll submit questions for answer in writing. Thank you.